So, warning has been given. Google's Search Console has started issuing some warnings that in October 2017, any websites that are not using HTTPS, so ones that are HTTP, they will start getting warnings in their forms if they're using Chrome browsers, especially the newer versions of Chrome browsers. In this episode, I'm going to explain what that means and what you can do about it. This is Hassle-Free Websites, and I'm your slightly alarming host, Justin Meadows. If you're looking to make selling websites easier and more profitable for your business, then you're in the right place. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. Okay, so firstly, what is HTTPS? HTTPS is the first part of the address of a website if they're using an SSL certificate. Now, an SSL certificate is a security encryption certificate. Basically, whenever data is sent to the website or away from the website, it is scrambled along the way. So it's scrambled before it's sent to the website, then it gets unscrambled, or it gets scrambled at the website and then is sent out and then gets unscrambled at the other end. As your data travels through the internet, it goes through several networks and stops at several nodes along the way. And hackers might be able to access that information and get your data as it's traveling through the internet. If you're using HTTPS, it means that any of that data is just gibberish to anyone who tries to access it as it's passing through the internet. SSL certificates and HTTPS has been a required feature of e-commerce websites, especially, any website that is using credit card information. If you want to be taking credit card information from customers and passing them to different apps or whatever you need it for, to process payments, then you need to have security encryption on that. Otherwise, the credit card companies won't let you use that service. But back in 2014, Google called for HTTPS everywhere. They want the entire internet, all the websites, to all be using HTTPS for every page of their website. Now, some people thought that this was perhaps overkill, but they've gone a step further and announced that they are actually giving preference in Google rankings to the websites that are using HTTPS. But so far, this has only ever proven to be a very minor ranking factor. But with this latest announcement, what they're saying is that anyone who's even just putting in an email address to sign up to subscribe to your thing, or to send you an email through your website to get a quote, or any other way that they might be entering into a form on your website, if you're not using HTTPS for that form, they will start putting warning signs on those fields that say that they are not secure. And so this could have a big impact on the number of conversions that you start getting from your websites. To be realistic, it's only going to happen to people using the latest versions of Chrome to start with. But I imagine this will be adopted wider and wider as time goes on. So it's good to get on top of this now, because if you don't and you stay on HTTP, then you are likely to not only be losing your rankings in Google and losing the traffic that's coming to your website, but also reducing the number of customers that are converting into buyers. So how do you go about changing to HTTPS? In the past, you would have to go and buy an SSL certificate just for your domain name, and you would need to buy that from one of the trusted SSL providers, and that would generally cost you around about $50 to $100 a year, depending on where you bought it. And then there are, of course, more expensive versions for the extended validation that gives the trusted green secure bar at the top of a website address. You might have seen them on things like PayPal and such like. And while these solutions still exist, there's now a new free option called Let's Encrypt. And this is an initiative that has been started to make security encryption a freely available service to everyone on the internet. So if you're with a good hosting provider, all you have to do is contact their support team and have that activated on your server. Now it's time for some action tips! But before I do, I just want to explain one more thing. There is actually one negative effect that might happen when you change to HTTPS, but it is only temporary. Most websites that switch to HTTPS will experience a dip in their Google rankings. This dip could be anything from 2 weeks to 2 months, but in every case that I've seen, it has always come back and come back stronger than their rankings were beforehand. So you do experience a short-term loss in rankings and in traffic to your website, especially if you're relying on SEO for your traffic. But it is worth it in the long run because it comes back in a better position. It's not anything to be worried about, but just make sure you do keep an eye on it. The reason that this is happening is because you're actually changing your website to a whole new address. And so Google needs to go through and re-index your website. And so because of that, it just has a bit of a natural dip in the ranking. But if you follow these steps that I'm about to explain, you'll make sure that that dip is as short as possible. And the other tip is, of course, to, after you make the switch, continue to publish new content on your website and make sure you're sharing stuff out to social media. This just helps the Google bots to crawl your site faster and make sure you're re-indexed quicker, and it will make your rankings come back faster and stronger. So firstly, you want to activate Let's Encrypt on your server. So you might need to contact your hosting provider and just get that activated for you. Next, you want to update all of the links on your website. So on any pages where there's links to other pages on your site, you want to make sure that they are all changed to the new HTTPS address. For this, I use Backup Buddy, and we just do a find and replace through the entire website to get that updated. Next, you want to make sure the address inside WordPress is set to the HTTPS. And next, you'll need to use htaccess to do a 301 redirect from the HTTP to the HTTPS. If you're not sure how to do that, you might need to contact a web developer for that, or maybe your hosting provider might help you out. Next, make sure that if you are using the Beaver Builder plugin, that you clear the cache on it and just clear the caches, any caches that you have on the website. And then once you've done that, just check the site and make sure that it has actually all been updated properly. Then next up, you want to go over to Search Console, which is the old Webmaster Tools, that's its new name, is Search Console. And you want to submit the site again as a new site with the HTTPS address. Then you'll need to resubmit your XML Sitemap to Search Console and make sure that HTTPS is used in the XML Sitemap before you do that. And then once you've fetched and rendered it in Search Console, then also go over to Analytics and make sure you update the address in your Analytics account as well. Once that's all done, you should be golden. So just remember to keep on publishing content and sharing your content, and just ride out the 2 months to 2 weeks sort of dip in your rankings, and then you should be much better placed from an SEO point of view than when you started. Now, to make sure you don't miss any of those steps, I've put together a short checklist for you, which you should be able to find below this video on the episode page. So if you're listening to this on iTunes, or if you're on YouTube or something like that, make sure you check out Evergreen Profit website, find this episode and download the checklist from there. So today I've covered what HTTPS is and what problems it might cause for you if you're not using it, and how you can go about implementing it right now. I hope you got a lot of value out of that, and if you need any more help, email support@evergreenprofit.com. I'll see you later. Bye.